Hello, the topic of my today's lecture is Kingdom Protista. Yesterday we were discussing about the bacteria, its economic importance, its structure, and now after the Monera, which is a prokaryotic group of the organisms, now we are starting with the Kingdom Protista. As you know, the Kingdom Protista, as I told you in my very first lecture, that Kingdom Protista, all the single-celled eukaryotes are placed in the Kingdom Protista. We shall be talking about the group of organisms that are included in this, but this group, the boundaries are not well defined. To define the Kingdom Protista, I will tell you that Kingdom Protista is a group of unicellular eukaryotic organisms which are primarily aquatic, but they show diverse habits. By the term diverse habit, I mean to say they are photosynthetic. Many members of this group, they are heterotrophic, and still a large number of this group, they show the saprophytic mode of life. What may be a photosynthetic protistian to one biologist may be a plant to another. And these various different diverse forms, and moreover they show diverse methods of reproduction, that is, they show the vegetative methods, asexual methods, as well as the sexual method. Protistians reproduce asexually as well as sexually by a process which is common to all the types, that is cell fusion and zygote formation. Now, Kingdom Protista, which I told you that it belongs to the division Eukaryota, it is mainly consisted of the three main groups. The first group comprises of the organisms which are photosynthetic, autotrophs, and they are plant-like organisms. These are algae-like Protista, and they are included in two groups, Chrysophyta and DINOFLAGELLATES. I will be talking about these groups now after this. Then there are animal-like protistian organisms which are motile and which, like animals, show the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Then the third group comprises of the protistian organisms which are fungus-like protists, and they are decomposers. They form spores. They have the filamentous structure. As I was discussing with you that these members of the Kingdom Protista which are included in this group, they are of diverse habits. Some are photosynthetic, some are heterotrophic, and some are decomposers. Now this grouping, as in the earlier lecture we had discussed about the phylogenetic tree, these three groups of protistian organisms are considered to be the precursors of the three higher groups, that is, those which are photosynthetics are considered to be the pioneer groups of the Kingdom Plantae. Those which are animal-like Protozoa are considered to be the ancestors of the Kingdom Animalia, and those which are fungus-like, they are considered to be the ancestors of the Kingdom Fungi. Now, these groups are further grouped into further subgroups, and these major groups that we will be studying in the Kingdom Protista. The first group is the Chrysophytes. Then is the DINOFLAGELLATES. These Chrysophytes and DINOFLAGELLATes both are photosynthetic groups. Then there is the EUGLENOIDS, which have intermediate features. I will just tell you. Then there are the slime moulds, and the last one are the protozoans. Slime moulds are the precursors of the fungus, which are saprobic in nature, and protozoans, which are animal-like in their behavior, and these are the groups which we will be discussing one by one in the Kingdom Protista. Let us start with the Chrysophyta. The Chrysophyta, these organisms include diatoms and golden algae. which is called as the desmids, unicellular algae, golden algae. They are found in fresh water as well as in the marine environment. A number of members of this group are found in fresh water, and a large number of the organisms of this group they are found in the marine water also. They are microscopic and float passively in water currents. That is typical planktonic feature, that they do not have a locomotory organ of their own, so they are passively carried from one place to another place with the current of water. They are, of course, they are the plant-like organisms, and therefore they are photosynthetic. They have a typical feature that almost all the diatoms, the cell walls form the two thin overlapping shells. Just like the soap case, the two parts of the soap case, they fit into each other. In the same way, their cell wall is made up of two halves. The one half is little smaller than the upper half in such a way as if the two lid and the box they fit into each other. In the same way, they are fitted. Their walls, the cell walls are embedded with silica. The cell wall, because it is impregnated with silica, therefore they are indestructible. Even when the organism dies, the shell of the cell wall, it remains there for many years over them. Thus, diatoms have left behind a large amount of cell wall deposits, because cell wall being made up of silica is indestructible, and even after the death, the cell wall deposits in the lower layer of the earth. This accumulates for billions of years, and this phenomena is referred to as diatomaceous earth. Being gritty, its economic importance I am talking about. Being gritty, this soil, diatomaceous earth, is used for polishing, filtration of oils, syrups, etc. And here I must mention that diatoms, they are the major producers of the oceans. So Chrysophyta is like this. And now let us come to the second group, which is again photosynthetic group, and that is the DINOFLAGELLATES. DINOFLAGELLATEs, they are mostly marine and photosynthetic. They are variously colored because of presence of the different types of pigments in them. They appear yellow, green, blue, red, depending upon which major pigment is present in them. Now talking about the cell wall has stiff cellulose plates on their outer surface, and because of these stiff plates, it is quite a rigid structure. And here I must tell you that the cell wall has a stiff cellulose plate, and most of them, and you can see how it is the structure of the typical dinoflagellate, as you can see in the figure on the screen, that it consists of the two grooves. Cell wall is quite rigid, and it consists of the two grooves. One is the transverse groove and other is the longitudinal groove. One is the longitudinal and one is the transverse groove. These two grooves, in addition to these two grooves, I have to tell you that they have two flagella. One lies longitudinally and the other lies transversely in the furrow, which is present in between the two plates. One flagellum, as this is the flagellum, and one is in the transverse furrow, one is in the longitudinal furrow. And these two flagella, because of the presence of two flagellum, these are given the name the dinoflagellates. Then there is the oil inclusions in them. The starch is present because they are photosynthetic and storage material is there. Nucleus you can see. Then the chromatophores. These are the chromatophores which contain different types of the pigments, and because of presence of the chromatophores with different pigments, this gets the different colors. As I told you, they can be yellow, green, brown, blue, red, depending upon which pigment is present in them. Now the longitudinal groove is and the transverse groove, they are respectively called the annulus and the sulcus. And this is about the structure of the dinoflagellates. The two flagella, one longitudinal and one transverse. The furrows, I told you, one is sulcus and one is annulus. Now a very important phenomena, you might have heard about the red tide. It is very often the red dinoflagellates. The goniulax is the example of the red dinoflagellates, which causes the red tides and makes the sea appear red. The red tides is a very popular phenomena which is caused actually by the dinoflagellate goniulax. And some dinoflagellates, they secrete toxins, and toxins released by a large number of the dinoflagellates may even kill the other marine animals such as the fishes. They produce a large number of the toxins, and if the fishes are living in their surroundings, they get killed because of the toxins released by them. Now after the dinoflagellates, we move on to the next group, and that is the euglenoids. As I told you that the first two groups, the chrysophyta and dinoflagellates, they are photosynthetic. Euglenoids, they are showing a different feature. Now euglenoids, they are the freshwater organisms, and they are present in the stagnant water. My dear students, in biology, we call fresh water to all the water bodies which are not sea water. So here is the difference. They are the fresh water but in the stagnant water. All the water other than the sea water is considered to be the fresh water. So here I am making my point clear that they are the freshwater organism but found in the stagnant water. Now instead of cell wall, they have the protein coat around their body, which is called as the pellicle. There are the pellicle layer is the covering layer of their body, and this pellicle layer makes their body flexible. Because of the presence of the pellicle, their body is flexible. Next, about the flagella, they have two flagella, a short and a long flagella. Here is the structure that you can see, that the pellicle layer makes the body quite flexible. Then there are the two flagellum. One flagellum which you can see coming out of the body. The second is the short flagellum, which starts from here up to here only. That is, it is small flagellum. One small and one large, but actually appears only one, but in fact there are present two flagella. One short, one long. Then they are photosynthetic. These euglenoids, they are the they show the dual mode of nutrition. What I mean to say by dual mode of nutrition, that is, they are photosynthetic in presence of sunlight, but when deprived of sunlight, because sometimes they live in the deeper layers of the water where sunlight may not reach, when they are present in deprived of the sunlight, they behave like heterotrophic by predating on the small organisms. Interestingly, the pigments of the euglenoids, they are exactly identical to the pigments of the higher plants, and that is what I told you, that this shows the dual mode of nutrition. That is, it can show the photosynthesis whenever the light is available, and when light is not available, it is heterotrophic. Euglenoids, the example is the euglena. The figure which I am showing you on the screen is the figure of the euglena viridis. Now the next group, that is the slime moulds, which are considered to be the precursors of the group fungi. Slime moulds are saprophytic protist. They are the protist group of the Protista, which are saprophytic in nature. They move, when they grow, They move by growing, that is they increase in their aggregations, and they move, body moves along the decaying twigs and leaves, engulfing the organic matter whatever comes in its way. Whatever the organic matter comes in its way, it shows the saprobic mode and eats it up. They form the aggregations. The cells go on multiplying and they form the aggregations, flexible aggregations, which we term as the plasmodium. The aggregations are called as the plasmodium. Because of their plasmodial behavior, the flexible behavior, and because their body, it is quite floating sort of body. Now, I am talking about the reproduction part of the slime molds, and here I have to tell you that under suitable condition, they form the aggregations called the plasmodium, which may grow and spread up over several feet. But during the unfavorable condition, when the conditions like moisture and the temperature are not suitable for them, the plasmodium differentiates and forms the fruiting body, bearing spores at their tips. The spores possess the true walls. And when these spores are extremely resistant and can withstand the unfavorable condition even for several years under adverse condition. And these spores, they are dispersed by the air currents, and when the air is flows the twigs, these spores to the several places, on getting the favorable condition, they grow and form the new plasmodial body. Now, the last group, which is considered to be the ancestor of the kingdom Animalia, that is the protozoa. Protozoan is the singular, protozoa is the plural. Now, this is a large group. It consists of a large number of the organisms, and we have subdivided this group into amoeboids, ciliates, sporozoa, and flagellate on the basis of mode of locomotion. First, amoeboids. These organisms live in fresh water, sea water, moist soil. They move and capture their prey by putting out pseudopodia, which is also called as the false foot, and example is the amoeba. Marine forms have silica shells on their surface. Some of them, such as entamoeba, they act as the parasites. Now let me talk about the ciliated protozoan. The next group is the ciliated protozoan, which is called as ciliates. They are aquatic, actively moving organisms because of the presence of thousands of cilia on their body surface. They have a cavity to which we call gullet that opens to the outside of the cell surface. The coordinated movement of the row of cilia causes the water laden with food to be steered into the gullet. Example is the paramecium. Now, after we have discussed the ciliates, now let me move on to the next group, and that is the sporozoa. Which if these sporozoa, these do not have any locomotory organ. And these include diverse organisms that have an infectious spore-like stage in their life cycle. The most abundant notorious is the plasmodium, which causes malaria, a disease which has a staggering effect on the human population, and that belongs to this group sporozoa. Now the last is the flagellates or the flagellated protozoans. The members of this group are either free living or parasitic. They have flagella as the organ of locomotion. The parasitic forms causes diseases such as sleeping sickness, and its typical example is the trypanosoma. In my next lecture, I will be talking about these protozoa in details. Till then, thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and God bless you. Thank you.